Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I have a 1-year-old son. I started this podcast for any mother who might feel alone in their journey through motherhood. Becoming a mom is hard no matter how you get there, and this podcast is about the mom stuff that comes up in our lives. Listen, enjoy, and connect with us on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Hello, welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and it is just me. And today is sort of a random episode of all these little topics that don't make a show and they have no connection whatsoever. But they it's almost like a kind of a question and answer thing. There are a few things that people ask me about that I will put in here also. But I don't have enough questions for a question and answer show quite yet. I guess if I asked, maybe I would. But let's start there. So one of the big things is that I have not had a guest on, except for my husband. I don't think for 2 months. So, and the reason is just honestly my schedule. December and January are my two biggest, I don't want to say busiest months, but they're jam-packed full with a lot of family events. So I don't always get the time. It's not like people don't want to be on the show or people are like, oh no, I don't want to do the show. Everyone wants to be on the show. It's just, it's my time constraint. And specifically with the sugar fast, there's a lot of extra readings that I do and stuff that I'm working on. So I've actually scaled back on a lot of things. So I'm trying to make my life manageable for what I can do. And I'm sure mothers of smaller children can understand that you just don't really have any time to yourself. So this is pretty much it for me. So I mean, I get more than this, but I don't get to it's very hard. I live in a very odd I don't want to say I live in an odd situation, but my husband has his own company, so he works a lot, and we don't have family around here. So unless I have family coming to watch our child, there's nothing I can really do. I don't have, we don't have a babysitter yet. I don't know if I would feel comfortable leaving him with a non-family member, someone at least that knows him really well, that's been around him a lot. Well, he can't say words because there is so much that I just know with he's saying words, but I know what they mean, but it's not coherent that other people would know what they mean. So, so that's why there are no guests. The other thing is that Taryn might have been coming on the show sometime in January, but she actually got into a car accident. And although there are no physical injuries, she is struggling a great deal with some neurological problems. So she is really working on that. So please send your prayers for Taryn because this looked like a small accident because I actually went, she was on her way to school when it happened. And so it's a very long story, but her husband had to take the kids and I was watching. So I went to her at the at the scene of the crime. And by looking at everything, you wouldn't think it was that bad, but she definitely has some neurological issues and she's working on it. And we just wish her the best. I mean, no one wants it and no one expects it, especially when someone hits you. So it's just been very hard on her. So I wish her the best. So here are some other random things. So I was planning on doing this show about what it's like to be a teacher. And my husband and I had talked about some stuff that I would put in there. And then we had a faculty meeting the following day in which they announced this whole new internet presence policy. And it's all about teachers and being present on social media and any kind of media outlet that is available on the internet. So I have not been able to thoroughly read the policy yet, and it will change how I do the show. Not that I was going to like get on and like bash my school or anything like that. I just, there are some like technical things that I'm not even allowed, I'm not sure if I can even mention. And I do not want to put my awesome full-time job that I absolutely love at risk. So I just need to, it's going to take me a little while to get that one ready, as don't I had a plan and I thought that it would be okay, but there are parts now that I am questioning. So I just want to make sure that I'm not putting anything out there that's one going to get me into trouble or lose my job, and one that I can explain my job that's not. Obviously, I wouldn't breach any confidentiality of any student or anything like that, but explaining it to you in a way that you can understand, because it's actually not that easy to understand certain parts of my job. So I don't know. We'll worry. That's like a February problem, not a January problem. So, but what I will say about school is this week and next week starts midterms, and I think this is one of my favorite times of the year. It's kind of like a slowdown after the first two parts of the year. And it's kind of like we do all this review and we review all this stuff. And for the freshmen, it can be kind of scary. And for the teachers, sometimes it's a little stressful because you're trying to manage getting in what you should be getting in by halfway through the year, and then also letting that go and saying, okay, well, this is where we're at, and I can't keep teaching them new material at this point. So um, it's just a nice slowdown. We have 4 days where the kids take their exams and then we grade our exams. And even just grading our exams, you get to talk with different people in the building that you might not always get to, because we all have lunch at the same time. So you kind of get to see the people that you don't always get to see in the building. And I think that's what I like about it the most, is because this year there's like a whole chunk of the school that I don't get to see, and not out of lack of trying. It's just how the classes that I teach this year. And it's just nice to have that time to just catch up with people's real lives and what they're doing. So excited about that. Um, so moving on to another random thing. I'm trying to stop saying the word and the only way to stop saying it is not saying it. So I work very hard now on the show not to say it. Last week I did horrible, but that's okay. That's how you get better, is listening back and hearing how many times you say it. And I'm sure the first 7 minutes of this, I said it a lot. And I'm working on not saying it and just either pausing or saying other words instead. The next topic that I will talk about is how I'm preparing my foods. So during the 40-day sugar fast, I don't do desserts. Now, and I don't really do processed foods, but I try to make all of our foods. Things that I don't make are breads. I actually go to a special grocery store to buy our breads and freeze them. I go like once a month, and all I go to do is buy these breads and freeze them. And I do that because there's no sugar in the bread. There is a little bit of honey, but they actually showed me how much honey when I was there, so I could see how much. And really, to bake bread, you need some sort of like sugary agent in order for it to work the best. So that's what I do for that. And besides that, I have been starting to really get into rotisserie chickens. So I got a Costco membership for Christmas for my mom, and it's been like the best thing I've ever had. Mostly because I'm buying things in bulk that I normally have to buy that are very expensive when I buy them at the grocery store. So, for example, my son loves fresh mozzarella cheese. And let me tell you, so do I. But I don't normally buy it because it's so expensive. But there is a pre sliced one in these two large containers that cost less at Costco than they do at any grocery store for half the amount. So I do buy that. And I try to be good about it, and I don't try and overuse it too much. But I would have to say I have probably a slice a day because I love it so much. But I just love it. The other thing is rotisserie chickens at Costco. They're $5. And I just cut up my rotisserie chickens today. I bought two of them because I figured if I can always freeze the meat and then defrost it later if I need to. But there are three recipes that I have this week that I am trying to, instead of making my own chicken, using the rotisserie chicken instead. One thing that my family really likes is instead of having tacos, is we make quesadillas. And I really like that because I just use whatever vegetables I kind of have left over, or I use like whatever I need to use. I do that instead, and that's very helpful. Then I also found this recipe with chicken and um, condensed soup and rice and broccoli and cheese that I'm going to try. I don't use condensed soup. I actually make it. There's some cookbook out there that has a recipe on how to make condensed see, I just said it. Condensed mushroom soup. I want to say it's like real cooking or real foods for a family. I don't know, but it's great because you can just make these condensed mushroom soups in batches, and then freeze them and then take them out when you need them. So my goal today is to make at least two of them. So I have one for this week and then one for another time. And I've been doing that. I don't I'm making baked macaroni and cheese tonight for dinner, which I'll put vegetables in it and whatnot. But I don't stay away from pastas or breads. I still eat them, but if I have pasta for lunch, I don't have it for dinner. So it's a trade off type of thing. And I have toast. Well, I have peanut butter toast in the morning with my breakfast, but I don't normally have a sandwich at lunch. If for some reason, like during midterms, we go out to grab sandwiches for lunch, then I will get a wrap. Typically, I won't get something on a roll. I do try and watch that kind of stuff. But that's my biggest thing right now is that I'm really trying to not make myself go nuts. Like I make all our food all the time. We hardly ever go out to eat. My husband and I were in the car the other day. We were doing a drive back from my mother-in-law's house, and it's like 3.5 hours. And it was like kind of like during lunchtime, and I wasn't hungry before we left. And it's very hard to pack things and be like, oh, we're going to eat this in the car and have this for lunch. Like that's not part of culture anymore, I think. And there's a rest stop that has one of those like wrap places. So we just got a wrap and split it and then ate food when we got home instead. And that worked out fine. So, I never ever talk about like where my son is like in I don't want to say developmental, but like kind of what he's doing at this point. So he'll be 2 years in at the end of April. And so right now he's walking and running and jumping. If you're holding on to him, he can pick up both legs, but he's not jumping unassisted yet. He absolutely loves going up and down the stairs, which scares me so much. I don't get nervous him going up the stairs. I only get nervous of him going down the stairs. Upstairs, he's fine. He can hold on to the railings and he can walk up, but sometimes he'll still crawl up, and he just loves the stairs. My husband really has to work with him going down the stairs because it is not something that I like. It's just not my thing. I do not want to I don't want my son to be afraid of coming down the stairs. Like, I work very hard to not be afraid to walk down the stairs, and I don't ever want to make my son starting off his life being afraid of the stairs because of something that happened to me that was a freak accident that it's not going to happen to him. Obviously, he's going to fall, and he might even fall down the stairs at some point, but it won't be as dramatic, hopefully, as what happened to me. So, he's also really into coloring. He loves getting coloring books and using crayons and coloring. Loves Play-Doh. Just loves it so much. Every day we play with our little Play-Doh. Still have to be careful that he's going to eat it. He still acts like he's always going to put it in his mouth almost every day, but he doesn't. He's good as long as you tell him to stop. And he loves his cars. He loves playing with cars. And the newest thing that he started to do, which I don't really know if I 100% believe that he understands what he's doing, but it sounds like he's counting to the number 5. But I would really say he's counting to the number 3. And you would really have to know that he's counting to the number 3. You have to know him to know that. But it's nice to think that he is on that train to going to learn his numbers. I was hoping that by the time he is 2 that he can say, when someone asks him, how old are you going to be? He could say 2. So I figure, in 4 months, 3 months, well, really 4 months, he would be able to do that. I'm not sure, but and I don't really care if he does or not, but it would be nice if he is really counting to 3 right now, if he can get to counting like that and understanding what the numbers mean. Moving on to the next topic. My brother bought a house. Him and his wife bought a house, I don't know, in the last couple of months. And I'm very excited because we are going to go and visit them sometime this year, preferably the first half of the year. And we're going to get to stay with them. And it's going to be awesome because their child is 3 months younger than my son. And I just love the idea that the cousins will get to be together and play and just have fun together. So that's very exciting for me. And I'm very excited about that. One of the other things that I cannot believe I did not talk about, like back in December, is that we are going to Disney World, and we're less than 6 months away because I got to pick out our restaurants, which is kind of fun because we don't normally eat at the restaurants at Disney. It's normally go, 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 go. With my mom and I don't think, besides Chef Mickey, that we ever ate at a sit down restaurant except one time we went to Cinderella's Castle and I was like 20 years old. Besides that, I don't really think. Oh, and we've eaten in one of the Italy, in Epcot, we've eaten in Italy. But other than that, we have never sat at a sit down restaurant at Disney. And this time, I just think that with my son, that we need like these definite breaks. And trust me, I will do an entire show about Disney. So don't worry about that. But I just think that touring with a toddler is going to be very different. And I need to make sure that we're not pushing him or doing anything. And I think that he is going to love meeting the characters. So that's why I wanted to do them at a meal so that it would be a little easier, so that we're not standing and waiting in line, that there's food for him to eat and then the characters come to him. I think that that will work out a lot better for him. And we're only planning on going to the Magic Kingdom. So I don't plan on going anywhere else. I think that at 2 years old, that's plenty to do. We're only going to be there 2 days, so we're not going for like a week or anything like that. It's just part of a vacation that we're going on, just to kind of see how he does and what kind of happens and what I need to look out for. But the dining is the biggest thing. I'm very excited because it's all places I've never eaten before. So I'm very excited about that. And one of the biggest things that I'm excited about is that we got a reservation at the T-Rex Cafe, which is actually not in like Disney Worldish. It's in Disney Springs, which is like their shopping area. And I'm so excited because my son loves dinosaurs so much, and I think he is just absolutely going to love it. And everyone keeps being like, oh my gosh, he's going to be so afraid. I don't think he's going to be afraid at all. He has been through so many dinosaur things where there are real dinosaurs that are the same size from this restaurant at night, and he has been so excited. So I think that that is going to be the best thing for him. The hardest thing, I'm moving on to my next topic now. That's it. Moving on. No transitions whatsoever. Working on that. The hardest thing that I'm coming up with are thoughtful gifts for people that don't cost money. A lot of times the only thing I can think of is getting people gift cards, and it's very hard for me to come up with gifts that are not clothes for people that are thoughtful gifts. So if anyone out there has ideas on thoughtful gifts that don't cost a lot, like I'm not looking for, oh, you can take this picture and make it into a blanket or a pillowcase and it's going to cost you like $50. I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for little thoughtful gifts for people that might be struggling with something or just might need a little pick me up, or just so that you know someone is there. I send cards and that's just fine. I There's always just like little things that I wish I could send to people to just show them more, a little more than just a card. But for right now, I'm going with the card because that's something. All right, so the only thing I am going to add now is a little bit about the sugar fast and where I'm at. I think this is right when I'm currently recording this is day 15. I think it'll be day like 18 or 19 when this episode goes up. So I've completed at least 2 weeks of it now. So this is it. If you're done and you don't want to hear about the sugar fast, that's totally fine. This is where you turn it off. Everyone else, you could stay. I know I promised to be on social media to kind of keep you guys updated, and it's very hard during the sugar fast because that's how I think about it when I start it. And then as I go through it, it's really all about yourself. And I'm not really trying to be like, oh my gosh, I'm fasting from sugar and you're not, and this is all the stuff that's happening. That's not what it's about. I encourage everyone to do this sugar fast. I think it's life changing. I think it's something that you could do every year to help you reset your life and mindset. And I think it's just so important to do. And the point of the fast is to stay away from sugar and figure out what your vices are and what you, even though sugar might be part of what it is, that's not the only thing it is. For me, it is definitely my phone. I used to never be on my phone. I think before I was pregnant, I never was on my phone except I would put on a podcast or like an audiobook. And like that was my biggest thing. And checking the weather. Other than that, I was not on my phone. I don't even like texting. I can't stand that people text me sometimes. It bothers me so much. And I know that that's just the way of communicating now. Like I don't have time to talk on the phone either. So like what else can I do? I just mean like texts about nothing. I don't like that. I hate group messages. I take myself out of every group message that I'm in because I just can't be a part of them. I need to focus on like my life when I'm home. So I'm really trying to break the habit of just being on my phone in general. And I have a timer on my phone, so I can only be on any social media for 30 minutes total a day. But it's like all my social media accounts together equal 30 minutes. And that's helped me a lot. I was at an hour, I think, this summer. And then over Christmas break, I went to 15 minutes. No, I think all of December I was at 15 minutes. And I went back up to 30 minutes. A lot of times because I even like to post something for the for the podcast, it wasn't enough time for 15 minutes. You'd think it would be, but I'm not that great at it. So I need more time than 15 minutes. So that's why I'm not on all the time. It's all about me and how I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be making you feel worse that you're not doing it or that you are eating sugar. And yes, my husband eats sugar around me all the time. Yesterday, he got a soda. First of all, yesterday, my husband took me out to breakfast, which he never, ever does. I like beg to go out to breakfast. And he's like, no, we got this, and this. And no, let's do it next time. Oh, no, I'll make you pancakes. You don't need to go out to get pancakes. We can just have them here. And then he'll make me pancakes. So, of course, yesterday he took me out to breakfast. And pancakes are like my winter go-to. When we have a snow day, I make pancakes. When we have a snow day, I just get so excited to have pancakes. Like Christmas morning, we have pancakes. The day after Thanksgiving, we have pancakes. Like it's a celebratory thing that we have these pancakes. So it was very hard for me to go out to breakfast yesterday and have a nice omelet and everything, but I survived and it was great. And then he had soda, and that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I did get an unsweetened iced tea, which I actually love unsweetened iced tea. But I don't want to have it all the time in the sugar fast either, because I don't want to replace that sugar with caffeine. And I try not to have caffeine. And no, there is no decaffeinated, unsweetened iced tea out there. Just, unless you make it yourself. So, anyways, you should be doing the sugar fast. You could start now. It doesn't matter that you aren't starting at the beginning, even if you did it for a week, 1 day, 2 days, whatever you think you can handle. Maybe it's just one meal, anything to just and pick up that 40-day sugar fast book from Wendy Speak. That anything that you could do, you know? And you can always ask me questions. I don't really know everything, but this is my second time through. I would say that I knew way more than I knew last year. Well, that will bring us to the end of the show. I am trying to end all my shows talking about my favorite thing about my son. I hope I didn't use this last week, but I could not remember when I was writing this show, and I couldn't get the show to play for some reason on my phone. It's like not playing podcasts right now. So this is what I have. I have that I love the way that my son now goes up to each of his grandmothers and gives them a hug. Like we'll say like, "Oh, give grandma a hug." And he will go over to them and give them hugs. And it is just so cute. I think I've used before that I love that my son comes back and forth between my husband and myself and gives us hugs. But it is amazing to see him go back and forth between the grandmothers and give them hugs. And especially in public, you always want to give those grandmothers that little boost that, yes, my grandchild loves me, and oh, everyone gets to see it. So I love doing those little things because I know the grandmothers love that. That will be it for our show. Please, 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 if you get a chance, please write a review for the show. I just found out that the only way to boost your, I guess it's not iTunes anymore, but whatever ratings you have in podcast world is based off written ratings. So unless you write a rating, I can't go up. Even though I might get 20,000 downloads a week, it doesn't matter. It matters how many people write reviews and how they consistently write reviews. So please, 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 if you have anything to say about the show, if you could write a review, that would be helpful. I hope you all have a good week, and I will talk to you next week.